Number 1. The only Middle Eastern country without deserts. When it comes to Lebanon, it's strange that many people don't even know it exists or can't locate it on a world map. In fact, it's the smallest country in the Middle East, covering just over 10,000 square kilometers, nestled on the eastern Mediterranean coast and sandwiched between the two hotspots of Syria and Israel. This modest size has often led to Lebanon being overlooked by international media, despite its historical role as a vital trading port connecting Europe and Arab nations, with the port of Byblos being one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. In stark contrast to the typical arid desert landscape of the Middle East, Lebanon is the only country in the region without a desert. Instead, it boasts a rich ecosystem with forests and high mountain ranges covered in snow in winter, and notably, the phenomenon of fog descending into the valleys, creating a scene reminiscent of the Swiss Alps. Here, you can experience the unique sensation of swimming in the sea in the morning and, after just a few hours' drive, skiing on the nearly 3,000-meter-high Cedars Peak, home to some of the world's most technically advanced ski slopes. Lebanon also shatters the stereotype of a conservative Arab society, with its capital Beirut long dubbed the Paris of the East, thanks to its incredibly modern and liberal lifestyle. High fashion and elegant suits are everywhere, accompanied by a vibrant nightlife in lively bars and nightclubs. This openness is further demonstrated by the open existence of alcohol and sensitive entertainment services, making Beirut the ultimate entertainment capital for the super-rich across the Gulf region. In terms of beliefs, the country breaks the notion that the Middle East is only Muslim by officially recognizing 18 different religious communities. Although Muslims constitute the majority, Christianity holds a key position in the political system, creating an extremely rare religiously based power-sharing system where the president is constitutionally required to be a Maronite Catholic. Even the national flag is often misunderstood, as the central symbol is not a pine tree but the legendary cedar, a precious wood once used to build Solomon's temple and Roman warships due to its classic resistance to termites. The linguistic abilities of the people here are also a fascinating highlight. They not only speak Arabic, but also use French and English fluently in education and business. A common phenomenon is that many young Lebanese speak foreign languages fluently like native speakers, but struggle with reading and writing Arabic, as they often combine all three languages into a single sentence, creating a unique dialect called Lebanese Latin. This profound cultural fusion reveals Lebanon to be a complex and fascinating entity that no simple model can fully capture. Have you ever misunderstood Lebanon in any way? If so, please comment with a number 1 and share your perspective below. Number 2. The beauty of Lebanese women. Lebanese women have long been considered the epitome of Middle Eastern beauty, to the point that it's often said that to truly understand the region, one only needs to look at them. Despite its modest size, the country has consistently produced countless beauty queens, fashion icons, and trendsetters. Their beauty is a unique blend of Mediterranean and Arab heritage, resulting in healthy tanned skin, deep eyes, and a refined high nose, a trait inherited from their Phoenician ancestors who were ancient maritime masters. This image completely shatters outdated stereotypes about women in the region, offering a look that is both strong and sophisticated. Beyond genetics, the beauty culture in Lebanon is also highly developed, especially in the capital Beirut, where spas and hair salons are as ubiquitous as cafes. Here, taking care of one's appearance is considered a way to express self-respect and personal taste, so women always present themselves in the most polished way possible. Locals often joke that even when just going to buy bread, a Lebanese woman still looks as glamorous as if she were about to enter a fancy party. Their value also lies in their intelligence and independent spirit, as Lebanese women possess one of the highest levels of education in the Arab world. They are strongly present in all professional fields, from doctors and lawyers to entrepreneurs and journalists, with incredibly sharp minds. Therefore, local men often jokingly say that if you win an argument with them, don't celebrate too soon, because she might just be deliberately letting you win. This saying reflects the respect for the competence and quick wit of women, who hold more than 30% of management positions in private businesses here. Throughout history, Lebanese women have demonstrated incredible resilience. During the Civil War, they were the ones maintaining social connections, organizing relief efforts, and participating in informal peace negotiations. Historians have not hesitated to call them the guardians of the nation's soul for their ability to lift communities after each crisis, much like the iconic cedar tree that always stands firm against storms. If you're curious about how to connect with these strong women from afar, leave a comment with the number 4. Number 3. The most complex legal system in the Mediterranean. In Lebanon, legal realities can be shocking to Westerners due to their differences. For example, if someone falls from a height and hits your car, even if you're innocent, you can easily become embroiled in a complicated investigation. While there's no specific law, many drivers spend hours giving testimony just to prove their innocence in an unavoidable accident. This hassle stems from the strict on-site responsibility principle, where all involved parties are considered suspects until a clear alibi is proven. Another shocking past regulation allowed perpetrators to escape prison if they agreed to marry the victim. Based on outdated notions of family honor, this law was only repealed in 2017 thanks to international pressure and waves of protests. Lebanese's legal system is a complex network inherited from Ottoman, French, and religious laws. With 18 recognized religious communities, each with its own civil court, changing religion on paper is nearly impossible due to procedural hurdles and opposition from the church. People often sarcastically say that obtaining foreign citizenship is easier than converting, because here, religion is defined by lineage from birth. This overlap leads to the paradox that Lebanon does not allow civil marriages domestically. All couples must have a ceremony according to religious regulations, or if they are of different faiths, they are required to register in Cyprus and then bring the documents back to Lebanon for recognition. Ironically, while the law allows civil divorce, it refuses to allow wedding ceremonies in this form. Consequently, Cyprus's wedding tourism industry is booming, welcoming thousands of Lebanese couples each year who arrive to get married after just a 40-minute flight. Number 4, where $100 can turn into $10 million. The biggest shock for Western tourists often happens at the first ATM. If you withdraw $100, the system might only give you about 150,000 Lebanese pounds, but if you take that $100 bill to the black market, you'll get nearly 10 million pounds. This difference isn't just 10, but over 60 times, making the Lebanese pound one of the fastest depreciating currencies in modern history, with inflation rates sometimes exceeding 200%. In a normal economy, this would be a disaster, but in Lebanon, it's everyday life. This anomaly is due to the parallel existence of multiple exchange rates. We have the old official rate used for calculating taxes, the bank rate for civil servant salaries, and most importantly, the free market rate, which accurately reflects the actual supply and demand. Each rate acts as a separate entity, making ATMs invisible traps. Using international credit cards to withdraw local currency can cost you up to 90% of your assets. To counter this, the concept of arbitrage through ATMs emerged. Those in the know seek out ATMs that allow direct withdrawals of US dollars, then exchange that money on the street to benefit from a rate 30 times higher. This absurdity permeates even the tax system, where an individual may receive a salary based on one standard but pay taxes and purchase necessities at completely different exchange rates. As a result, basic arithmetic has become a mandatory survival skill. A loaf of bread may have a listed price in Lebanese pounds, but its real value fluctuates depending on which currency version you are paying with. Entering the years 2024 and 2025, the government attempted to unify these exchange rates. However, the pound's loss of over 95% of its value since 2019 nearly shattered confidence in the banking system. To this day, the free market exchange rate remains the only reliable measure people trust to assess the value of everything in life. Number 5. Real power in Lebanon. Hezbollah is not merely a political or military faction, but in fact operates as a fully functioning government alongside the legitimate Lebanese state. What astonished international observers was its military strength, which was assessed as equal to or even surpassing the national army. According to figures from 2021 from leader Hassan Nasrallah, the group possessed approximately 100,000 fighters, including both main and reserve forces. Besides its large numbers, they are also known for their iron discipline, isolated command system, and extensive combat experience, particularly their urban warfare capabilities and the operation of an extremely complex network of underground tunnels. The most shocking element lies in its enormous arsenal. estimated at over 100,000 missiles, a number larger than the combined stockpiles of most European nations. Even as of 2025, there were reports of lost firepower. Hezbollah still maintained tens of thousands of warheads along with modern air defense and anti-ship missile systems. This resource was secured by hundreds of millions of dollars in annual funding and direct training support from Iran, making them the most powerful armed non-governmental force in the world today. However, their status as a state within a state also stemmed from their self-contained social welfare system in Shia communities. Hezbollah operated its own network of hospitals and schools, along with separate subsidy programs, eliminating the need for government assistance in Lebanon. They performed all the functions of a true state, from healthcare to livelihood relief, and even operated independent telecommunications and financial systems to avoid international scrutiny. Politically, this organization holds seats in parliament and ministerial positions, but operates according to its own will rather than following executive orders. All important military decisions that could potentially drag the entire country into war are made independently by them. Historically, Hezbollah has not hesitated to use internal force to protect its influence, making it nearly impossible for the regular army to access southern Lebanon, where all economic and security activities are subject to the organization's tight control. Number 6. The second largest non-nuclear disaster in history. On the afternoon of August 4, 2020, as rush hour was beginning in Beirut, a blinding flash of light erupted in the port area. In an instant, approximately 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate exploded, creating the second largest non-nuclear explosion in modern history, surpassed only by the 1947 Texas City disaster. The entire Lebanese capital shook violently as if it had just experienced a devastating earthquake. Seismic stations recorded tremors equivalent to 3.3 on the Richter scale, and shockwaves traveling for miles blew out windows and balconies of buildings. One of the oldest cities in the Mediterranean was reduced to rubble in a matter of seconds. The most haunting image was the giant mushroom cloud rising from the port, leading many to mistakenly believe it was a nuclear attack. But in reality, it was a cloud formed by the condensation of water vapor due to a sudden change in air pressure after the explosion. The human consequences were devastating, with over 200 deaths from more than 20 different countries and 6,000 injured. Approximately 300,000 people, equivalent to one-third of the city's population, lost their homes in a single afternoon. Hospitals in Beirut were overwhelmed and had to treat victims in their corridors. The explosion also completely destroyed the capital's main grain storage facility. Material damage is estimated at billions of dollars, with more than half the city damaged. Furthermore, the environment was severely polluted, with satellites recording soaring nitrogen dioxide levels, making the air toxic for days. Most outrageously, these chemicals had been illegally stored for nearly 6 years under extremely dangerous conditions, despite numerous warnings from authorities. The seized goods were from the ship Rosus, which was en route to Mozambique. To this day, public opinion still questions whether the entire original quantity of ammonium nitrate actually exploded. Experts estimate that the actual amount of explosives at the scene may only be about 20% of the original amount, leading to suspicions that a large quantity of the chemical was illegally smuggled out beforehand. The question of where the remaining thousands of tons of the chemical went remains an unsolved mystery. Number 7. Facts you wouldn't expect. In Lebanon, smoking habits are shocking to visitors, with the average person smoking over 2,000 cigarettes a year. According to the World Health Organization, the country consistently ranks among the world's top smokers, despite a government ban on advertising in all media since 2012. This measure reduced smoking by over 34%, but the habit remains deeply ingrained, with cigarette smoke prevalent from government offices to enclosed cafes. The pressure to become a doctor is a unique cultural trait, with 1 in 10 Lebanese working in the medical field, resulting in one of the highest doctor-to-population ratios. For many families, their children wearing a white coat is more of a symbol of honor than a simple career choice. This burden of expectations leads to a very high dropout rate among medical students due to a lack of passion. In terms of resources, Lebanon is a paradox in the heart of the oil-rich Middle East, possessing almost no significant oil and gas reserves and being entirely dependent on imports. However, the country possesses some of the highest natural gold reserves in the eastern Mediterranean. Although not yet exploited on an industrial scale, it remains a crucial strategic asset. For wine connoisseurs, Lebanon is a hidden treasure trove with a winemaking history spanning over 5,000 years. Since the time of ancient Phoenicia, its wines have been renowned throughout the Mediterranean, and today the Bekaa Valley is home to over 60 wineries. Millions of bottles of rich, herbal wines are exported annually, especially those made from the ancient Merwa and Obeide grape varieties unique to this region. The ancient wine cellars are built deep within natural caves, maintaining ideal temperatures without the need for any electrical systems. Finally, there is the unprecedented demographic shift, where the number of Lebanese living abroad far exceeds the domestic population. An estimated 8 to 14 million people of Lebanese origin reside in over 100 countries, while the domestic population is a mere 7 million. At the same time, Lebanon is sheltering over 1 million Syrians and 400,000 Palestinians, giving it the highest refugee density per land area on the planet. Remittances from this overseas community now account for over 30% of GDP, preventing the national economy from collapsing completely. Number 8. When banks become enemies of the people. From the end of 2019, when the financial system collapsed, banks in Lebanon simultaneously froze the accounts of millions of residents without any formal legislation. This was essentially an arbitrary and illegal form of capital control, rendering people's life savings meaningless numbers on a screen. With the national currency depreciating by over 90%, even withdrawing money to sustain life or pay for medical treatment was outright denied. Initially, people persevered through legal means, but the judicial system was paralyzed by corruption and protectionism. When the law ceased to be a reliable support, an unprecedented phenomenon in financial history erupted from the beginning of 2022: bank robberies perpetrated by account holders themselves. They stormed banks armed with weapons or even toy guns just to reclaim their legitimate money, creating a movement known as violent debt collection that spread across major cities. This situation became so frequent that many banks had to close indefinitely to ensure the safety of their employees. However, behind these audacious acts was not a criminal nature, but heartbreaking tragedy. A prime example is the case of a young woman who used a toy gun to hold hostages in order to obtain $13,000 to pay for her sister's cancer treatment. Instead of criticizing her, local public opinion hailed her as a hero, and the bank was later forced to withdraw its lawsuit under immense pressure, a testament to the complete collapse of the social contract between the state and its citizens. Another case involved a man who brought a real gun and gasoline to threaten self-immolation in order to get money for his father's hospital bills. After receiving a portion of the balance, he immediately surrendered, his sole purpose being survival, not robbery. However, the justice system often sides with the financial institutions, treating the depositors as criminals, while those who illegally froze accounts remain unscathed. Entering 2025, the government continues to make vague promises about returning the money without a concrete timeline, while international reports indicate that over $70 billion of public funds have vanished from the system due to poor management and high-level corruption. This evasion of responsibility continues to erode the last remaining shreds of trust among the Lebanese people. Number 9. Spending 40% of income just on electricity. In Lebanon, electricity has become a market for organized crime, where darkness is controlled by private mafia gangs. Each household bears 2 electricity bills each month, one to the state, receiving only 2 to 4 hours of power, and another to the generator mafia to maintain lighting. This cost accounts for up to 40% of income, 10 times the average energy expenditure in the United States. The generator system, initially a temporary solution, has become a dominant empire controlling nearly 6 million people with approximately 3,500 owners. The most powerful control a network of thousands of generators and claim Lebanon would be completely dark without them. Despite serious violations of environmental standards with toxic carbon emissions, the government cannot intervene for fear of paralyzing hospitals and schools, leading to compromises based on price caps that are only effective on paper. Studies show that fine dust from diesel generators in Beirut has significantly increased the incidence of respiratory illnesses in the community. When electricity becomes a lucrative asset, violence becomes a tool for territorial control. In 2023, bloody clashes erupted in Tripoli and Beirut, making the flow of illicit money and actual fuel consumption uncontrollable. The oil that fuels this system is manipulated by a coalition of 14 import companies who can cripple the country simply by cutting off supplies. This market is estimated to be worth up to $2 billion annually, equivalent to 1/10 of the nation's GDP. In addition, there is industrial smuggling, with nearly 4 million liters of gasoline being smuggled into Syria every day. Ironically, the Lebanese government continues to collect value-added tax and port fees from this supply, turning smuggling into a tolerated source of illicit revenue to sustain an economy on the brink of collapse. Number 10. The city reborn from 7 layers of ashes. Beirut is not only the capital of Lebanon, but also one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. For 5 millennia, layers of civilization have been stacked beneath its modern streets, so when building roads, workers can easily touch the ruins of Phoenicia, Rome, or the ancient Byzantine aqueduct. According to historical records, Beirut has been wiped out and reborn 7 times. The earthquake of 551 leveled the city, followed by conquests by the Greeks, Mamluks, Ottomans, and Crusaders. However, this city has always resiliently revived on its old foundations, rightfully earning its title as the Phoenix of the Middle East or the immortal city on the Mediterranean coast. This title is not just a metaphor, but also reflects the indomitable spirit of its people, who are always prepared to rebuild everything after each upheaval. Geographically, Beirut possesses a rare advantage. Its center is located near the sea, but is only about a 45-minute drive from the snow-capped mountains of Lebanon, which rise over 3,000 meters. This creates an unbelievable journey, swimming in the ocean in the morning and skiing in the afternoon on the same day, a unique experience that even California can hardly match. The temperature difference between the sea and the snow-capped mountains here can be as much as 20 degrees Celsius in less than an hour of travel. Before the 1975 Civil War, Beirut was the most developed financial and journalistic hub in the Arab region. With the American University, founded in 1866, it trained outstanding scholars and politicians. During its heyday, Beirut positioned itself as a symbol of cultural freedom on par with Europe, with the Lebanese pound once the most stable currency in the region. Despite facing a crisis, Beirut remains the nightlife capital of the Middle East. While neighboring cities have fallen silent, its bars and clubs are still brightly lit with techno and jazz music echoing until dawn. People continued to dance, affirming their vibrant spirit despite the air raid sirens, creating a captivating paradox between political instability and the need to enjoy life. Number 11. Unique festivals in Lebanon. The Zouk Mikhail Music Festival is a rare event taking place in the historic setting of an ancient town. Just a 15-minute drive from Beirut, it stands out with its Ottoman limestone architecture and cobblestone streets. The highlight is the open-air stage located in a square that was once a medieval market, creating a natural acoustic effect thanks to the arched structure of the stone buildings. The interplay between modern melodies and ancient city walls creates a unique atmosphere, making Zouk Mikhail one of the most uniquely designed open-air theaters in the Levant. The event spans several summer nights and features artists from France, Greece, Egypt, and leading Lebanese singers. The diverse program ranges from jazz and opera to world music, appealing to all ages with its refined style. Notably, performances often begin at sunset to take advantage of the golden light illuminating the ancient stone structures. At the ancient port of Byblos, one of the oldest cities on the planet, the music festival offers a unique experience with its stage right at the water's edge. Lights shimmer on the Mediterranean Sea as spectators enjoy pop, rock, or Arabic folk music to the sound of crashing waves. From here, the view extends straight to the 800-year-old Crusader fortress behind them, where archaeologists once discovered the earliest Phoenician texts. The Beirut Marathon, on the other hand, is the capital's largest street festival, bringing together tens of thousands of people from all walks of life and religions. Many runners wear attire with messages about the environment or gender equality. This spirit of harmony has transformed the race into a symbol of unity in a nation often divided, where political boundaries are blurred along the 42-kilometer course. In 2018, the race received the Silver Label certification from the International Athletics Federation, affirming its prestige and international standard of organization. Number 12. An alluring culinary paradise. Most tourists who have visited Lebanon agree that it boasts one of the most captivating culinary cultures on the planet. The allure of its dishes doesn't come from complexity, but rather from the masterful balance of aroma, color, and texture. Many Western visitors say their palates are completely won over, even by the simplest appetizers. The tabbouleh salad is a prime example of this sophistication. Made with bulgur wheat, parsley, lime juice, and olive oil, this dish offers an incredibly refreshing and pleasant sensation. Besides that, there's fattoush, a raw vegetable salad with crispy fried bread and a lime garlic dressing that helps dispel the sweltering heat of the Mediterranean summer. Lebanon is also considered a paradise for vegetarians, with a quarter of its population maintaining a meatless diet, resulting in an incredibly diverse range of vegetables. Most famous is hummus, a dish of mashed chickpeas mixed with olive oil and garlic, which is popular worldwide but takes on a different level in its homeland, Lebanon. Interestingly, Lebanon once won a world record race against Israel by creating a plate of hummus weighing over 10 tons, enough to serve thousands of people, and asserting its cultural ownership of this legendary dish. For barbecue lovers, kafta and shish taouk are must-try dishes. Meat is marinated with cinnamon, nutmeg, and garlic, then grilled directly over charcoal to create a distinctive smoky flavor, and is often served with pita bread and a rich, creamy garlic sauce called toum. Another iconic dish is kibbeh, a mixture of ground beef or lamb mixed with bulgur wheat, shaped into an oval, and deep-fried until crispy. In the mornings, locals often enjoy menakish, a flatbread topped with spices including thyme and sesame seeds, along with sumac powder for a distinctive tangy flavor. Pita bread is a constant presence at every meal, serving as a versatile tool for wrapping or dipping food. Locals often jokingly say that with just bread and lime in hand, they can enjoy the whole world. Number 13. Mysterious places. The Ekmoun Temple in the Sidon suburbs is one of Lebanon's most intriguing archaeological destinations, with a history dating back to the 7th century BC. Built to honor the Phoenician god of healing, its structure is a bizarre architectural symphony, blending Persian, Greek, Roman, and Byzantine styles. What puzzles researchers is that the temple remained largely undamaged during the rise of new empires. Instead of leveling the structures of their predecessors to assert their dominance, as was the ancient custom, successive civilizations chose to renovate and expand it. Furthermore, the water supply system is a challenging problem, as the network of underground stone channels leading from the Awali Springs to the ceremonial bathing pools maintained a consistent temperature regardless of weather changes. Modern engineers have discovered that the Phoenicians used an insulating technique involving layers of fired clay and charcoal stacked underground to maintain the water temperature at 20 degrees Celsius, although the detailed mechanism remains a mystery. Ancient texts assert that this was the largest healing center in the Levant, where the water was believed to possess restorative energy that modern science cannot fully explain. Continuing the journey north into the mountains, you will encounter Douma, an abandoned stone village shrouded in mystery. The entire village is built from red stone found only in the Bekaa Valley 40 kilometers away, leading one to wonder how the ancient inhabitants transported such a massive amount of material across the sheer cliffs, especially since each stone block weighs several tons and there are no traces of the tracks used for carts at that time. Once a prosperous community, the inhabitants of Douma suddenly disappeared without explanation or any sign of disaster. The strangest thing is the echoing sound in the stone alleys, where footsteps or voices often reverberate repeatedly, as if someone is responding. A recent acoustic study suggests that the high iron content of the red stone walls creates a unique sound wave resonance. However, this still doesn't explain why singing is heard emanating from this deserted village on damp nights. The combination of illogical architecture and supernatural phenomena has made Douma one of the most haunted names in Lebanon. Number 14. Cost of living in Lebanon. The cost of living in Lebanon clearly reflects the economic polarization between cheap domestic goods and expensive infrastructure services. In Beirut, renting a one-bedroom apartment costs between $400 and $600 in the city center, but drops to $250 to $350 in the suburbs. Food is a bright spot with affordable prices. A restaurant meal costs only about $6 to $10, while cooking at home costs around $150 to $200 per month for fresh produce and the country's signature Arabica coffee. However, the biggest hurdle is utility costs, typically around $100 to $150, but the actual cost is much higher due to residents being forced to pay for private generators because the national power grid is frequently down. Regarding transportation, taxis cost between $2 and $4 and buses are only 50 cents. But due to the underdeveloped public transport system, motorbikes and walking are the best options. A person needs approximately $800 to $1,200 per month to live comfortably. Despite the attractive cost of living, the security situation is currently extremely unstable. Major powers such as the US, UK, Australia, and Canada, along with regional countries like Russia and Saudi Arabia, have issued red alerts advising their citizens not to travel to Lebanon. International airlines also frequently cancel flights abruptly due to concerns about armed conflict in the southern border region. Number 15. Things you need to know before traveling to Lebanon. Many tourists are surprised by Lebanon's billing culture, where restaurants often offer complimentary side dishes without prior notice. Small dessert plates, bread baskets, or bottles of water are often mistaken for free, but they are actually listed in the bill. In hotspots like central Beirut or the Batroun coast, staff often take advantage of international visitors' embarrassment to charge for these items, a golden rule. Another significant issue is the inconsistency in pricing. There's an unwritten rule of pricing for locals and dollarized prices for foreigners. While not necessarily a scam, it reflects the fact that tourists often carry strong foreign currency. Bargaining and asking for prices beforehand are essential survival skills when taking taxis or shopping at traditional markets, where vendors may charge a premium of up to 100% if they sense you're unfamiliar with the fluctuating black market exchange rate. When traveling between areas, you need to be aware that the line between modernity and conservatism in Lebanon is sometimes just a street away. While the clubs in Beirut are extremely liberal, the surrounding areas are very respectful of religious etiquette. Wearing revealing clothing or taking photos of women without permission and insecurity can lead to trouble. Finally, the warm hospitality of the Lebanese can sometimes be confusing for Western tourists. If you receive an invitation for tea or a snack, a blunt refusal will be considered an insult to the host. The wisest approach is to politely accept and take a small sip to show appreciation, as in Arab culture, offering food and drink is a sacred ritual that establishes trust and the host's protection of a foreign guest. This not only makes your journey smoother, but also opens up many interesting conversations. Our journey exploring 15 interesting and unique things about Lebanon has officially come to an end. We hope these insights have given you a fascinating perspective on this country. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like, and share the video to give us more motivation. Goodbye, and see you in the next content.